Morgan, a cardiologist and executive director of health and community education at Piedmont Healthcare. Thank you so much for being with us. Really do
It's a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. I'm sorry to be talking about this story, but it's very important.
It is.
So let's break this down. Researchers studied patients born between 1920 and 1990 and found cancer rates increased with each generation. For instance, uterine cancer has about a 169% higher incidence rate if you're born in the 90s as opposed to if you were born in the 50s. And again, I'm reading this. This is stunning.
Right.
So tell me, Dr. Morgan, what is explaining this rise in cancer with younger generations?
And we've seen this trend for a while. And one of the concerns that we have is that it's also tracking with our obesity rates as well, and the plethora of processed foods in our society, which really is just a polite way for us to say non-foods, foods that are really chemicals and additives and things like that that earlier generations really didn't consume or have in their bodies in large quantities. And then just the lack of physical activity as our technology has continued to advance. We've had less and less physical activity and just good old sunshine. We're not outside, we're not having sunshine, and all of those things with vitamin D being absorbed into the skin. And we think about all the other additives that go into laundry detergent and fragrances. And we have really a plethora of culprits that we really are taking a closer look at to see why are we having more and more and more cancer rates in younger and younger and younger generations.
Well, it's tough though about what you're saying is that it's everything. It's what we're ingesting, it's lifestyle as well. Is there one that stands out, or it's really the combination coming together that's causing this?
And you know what's interesting when you look at the study, they divided it into 5-year cohorts, and actually each 5-year group of people as they were born shared similar traits. So no matter where you're born or what you're doing, you sort of are in the same environment as all of those people in your cohort of things that are going on in the world. And each of those cohorts was sharing some of the same cancer traits and cancer trends as well. And since 2014, we actually have seen a decrease in the life expectancy as well of younger and younger people. And for the first time, we may have successive generations that actually have a lower life expectancy than their parents.
Which is stunning and so scary too.
Very scary.
What can some of these young people do to help prevent or turn the tide on this trend?
You know, as we look at a lot of this, it's very interesting as we look at some of these studies with Ozempic and Wegovy and Mounjaro, which have been very interesting in that as a cardiologist, we certainly have been very interested to see the cardiac data, the improvement in cardiac health in these patients. But now we're seeing an improvement in maybe 10 cancers that we see in younger and younger people, what we call OACs, obesity-associated cancers. And these cancers tend to decrease in a study that's come out very recently in patients who were taking this over a 15-year period, patients who have diabetes in comparison to those who took insulin and those who took the GLP-1s, which we call the Ozempic and the Wegovy.
That's fascinating. And, you know, it seems like with the Ozempic and the Wegovys, we keep learning more and more about these drugs and the benefits they may have, including, I understand that there was one study that said it might be linked to helping people stop smoking as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's right. The story just keeps evolving with this class of drugs, the semaglutides. And so what happens is they impact the reward center in the brain. And so not only does it reduce your cravings for food and calories, it reduces your cravings for a lot of things, including smoking and maybe even other drugs or other types of perverse behaviors. So really, it's very interesting to see where this is going to go. We certainly see a cessation and a slowing down in smoking, these reward centers, and other things that people do for rewards that may be bad habits. These medications might end up being quite helpful in controlling that.
Just quickly, are you optimistic that we have some solutions or we can start to beat back this trend?
I think I am optimistic. Certainly as it's coming to our attention, the first thing really is to understand it, to know about it, to track it, to get data on it. And then we have to begin to put in interventions, and probably that intervention is going to be preventive measures as we move forward, including screening for cancer at younger and younger ages. We've got to start screening earlier.
Dr. Morgan, thank you so much as always.
You're
Really appreciate
welcome.
your time.